I stumbled upon this site when I was doing the research for my last Fords video. This is likely the site of a embankment washaway which tipped an engine over and the driver was washed away into the night. It's a story worth retelling here on Outdoors Type. It's a different style for me, so I hope you enjoy.
The railways in the mid-north of South Australia were in full swing in 1913, and they were an integral part of life and communication. This is a story of an accident north of Adelaide at Fords near Kapunda. A flash flood washed a goods train off the tracks, and the driver, William Critchley, was swept away. Just after 5:30 in the afternoon on the 13th of February 1913, a huge summer storm passed over the Light region, dumping around 60 millimetres of rain in 35 minutes. The nearby township of Kapunda was inundated, and road surfaces were washed away as they became rivers, and flash floods filled the normally dry creek beds. This isn't a place that's considered to be in danger of flooding, and it seems surreal when you know the area. The accident happened near Ford Station on a 6 to 8 feet high embankment with a small culvert underneath for a small creek. The freak summer storm dumped incredible amounts of water that built up against the embankment, and the sheer volume of water rushing over the line washed away most of the ballast. The line gave way just as the train crossed it, creating havoc with all but the last few carriages. There are two stories about the men who witnessed the accident. Following the storm, a Granger Clancy and a Mr. Moore set off in their tricycles to look for damage on their section of the line. They'd reached the eastern end of the section where floodwaters roared over the line when, without warning, the rails gave way and their tracks were overturned, tipping them into knee-deep water. Another report had the men setting off from Fords when they ran into the back of the stopped train. The newspaper stories are confusing, but the men saw the goods train bound for Kapunda rounding the corner from the other side of the broken line. They tried frantically to warn the driver, but it was too late, and they watched helplessly as the train toppled onto its side and slid down the embankment. In both reports, word was immediately sent to Kapunda and a relief party formed. The guard, who was a Mr. C. Sheldon, was in the last carriage of the train. He had heard the whistle to apply the emergency brakes and was jostled but unharmed as he rushed down to the wreckage. Not seeing the driver or fireman, he ran down the stream some distance to try and find them. On his return, he found Mr. Waits stumbling across the wreckage. Reports then say Mr. Sheldon walked back to alert the station at Freeling before the passenger train came down the line. The relief party included an inspector of traffic, a Mr. Gordon, who said he had never seen such a sight. The whole country was one mass of water, he said, but fortunately we got through without mishap. The full extent of the accident couldn't be gauged by the light of the setting moon. By then the waters had subsided back into their natural course, but the mud and debris had already left an awful scene. The engine was lying fully on its side, awash with slush and slime. The wagons behind it had piled up on top of each other. One 22-foot wagon stood straight up in the air, supported by an overturned 18-foot wagon. Search parties were sent out to look for Mr. Critchley, and they searched all night. There was no sign of him. Mr. Waits was hatless and bruised, but uninjured. He had said that the train left Freeling soon after 6 o'clock, and not far out of the station, they'd run through one body of water safely. Once they reached the second, they kept a good lookout, but they didn't think it necessary to stop altogether. Suddenly, they felt the engine going, and with only the width of the embankment, they knew there was little hope. As soon as Mr. Critchley felt the engine drop, he exclaimed, "Good God, the line is gone," to Mr. Waits. In a few seconds, they were over and into the water and scrambling for their lives. Mr. Waits told interviewers, "When she rested on her side, I climbed out and my mate followed me. The water was up to my waist, and when I got my footing, I looked for the driver to see if he was all right. As he got out, he seemed to sink on his knees, and before it was possible to do anything, the water carried him away. One good Samaritan gave me a pair of dungarees and another a coat, and I feel pretty right now, although it was a bad experience." The true scale of the accident was revealed by morning light, and a search party was resumed to find Mr. Critchley's body. Searchers found his water bag and toolbox a quarter of a mile away down the creek, but still no trace of Mr. Critchley. Later that day, Mr. Mitchell, a farmer from near Linwood, was inspecting flood damage in the Light River when he was shocked to find a body hanging in a tree. Mr. Critchley had suffered severe injuries as he was swept 7 miles downstream from the accident site, and it's likely he died of drowning or hypothermia. A new track was established across the embankment within 24 hours, and it took just 3 days for the cargo and broken trucks to be hauled away and the engine to be jacked back up onto the line. A week later, there was almost nothing to show such a terrible accident had occurred. The railways rolled on. Sometimes there's only specks of information remaining about an event, especially over 100 years later. Sometimes there's even more than one story. Among all the stories, I wondered who Mr. Critchley actually was. He was a highly respected sporting man and well known as one of the most careful and competent drivers on the railways. His railway career began in February 1885 as a cleaner, and he went through the usual stages to the position of engineman. He was appointed driver at Port Pirie in 1907. He was 52 at the time of the accident and lived in the suburb of Prospect. He left behind a widow and 12 children. One of his sons actually worked on the railways at Goulburn. His funeral was a lengthy and well-attended event with local engine drivers, firemen and members of the Hibernian Society turning out in full force. He was laid to rest at West Terrace Cemetery. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you did by liking or commenting below. And please do consider subscribing and hitting the notification button so you'll know when I follow this video up with more rail history. That's it, folks. Bye for now.